Now, Pavoratiis was a good friend.
Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I'm your host, Pavoratiis, here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. Now, as a disclaimer, this channel is for entertainment purposes. These are my opinions, not here to slander anyone. So let's get started. Now, recently, I've put out a video that goes over my theory up to the atrocity in this case. And please, if you haven't seen that one, go watch it. I put the link in the description in this video. And that is what I believe happened. Now, as I have released that and I've read the comments, I always get great comments. Some of them are a little critical, which I understand. That's why I say post your thoughts. That's what I want to hear. I may have got some of the degrees of Mr. Kohberger either wrong or out of order. That's how I understood them. If I was wrong on those, then I'll try to verify that in the future and maybe make a correction there. But there's one part to this video that some people had some confusion on, and I wanted to really go into detail on this specific aspect because I believe it's eye-opening if you can keep an open mind to what I'm about to tell you. We've all seen the Bandfield footage. Okay, we got the 4 people running in the background of the body cam footage of law enforcement when they were basically harassing the kids in the Bandfield. Now, I always assumed because they were running in the direction of the Sigma Chi house that it was just college students that seen other college students being harassed by law enforcement, and they're probably out drinking and they didn't want to face the same harassment, so they made a run for it. And the reason that I really believed that was because of the time frame. I mean, it was a little after 3 a.m. when this took place, which doesn't coincide with a lot of the things that we were told happened in the atrocity. So them running away from the King Roadhouse, along with the time frame, eliminated that in my mind. However, now that we have gone through and have exhaustively recognized the fact that the vehicles in this case, the Hyundai Elantras, absolutely have no bearing on the atrocity whatsoever. I'm going to do another video here shortly, and I'm going to go ahead and remap that out just so everybody's clear on it. The Hyundai Elantra wasn't Kohberger's, and I don't believe it had anything to do with the atrocity. And they based so much of their investigation off of this stupid car footage that they determined a lot of things based on that. And again, I'll go through a video taking all the aspects of that and destroying the vehicle footage. So, but anyway, as I'm going through the Bandfield footage, because now that I have a firm grasp on who's responsible for this atrocity and how they operate and how they plan something, I know the vehicles had no bearing. Maybe if you watch my video, you'll see that I believe there was a getaway vehicle, but I believe they entered on foot. And by entering on foot, that made me have to stop and go back and revisit some old footage that we've all been questioning for so long. And the fact that those gentlemen or ladies and gentlemen, we don't know, were running away from the King Roadhouse towards Sigma Chi led a lot of people to believe, well, it must have been the frat boys. And that's what gave the frat boy theory so much strength there for a while. Well, as I went through and just really opened my mind, and I watched the old news articles or the old news videos on the Bandfield situation, and I did it with an open mind, I realized what happened, and it was plain as day. those four weren't running away from the King Roadhouse. Those four had made their way up to the King Roadhouse, and then, like any clever criminal, once they got to the top of the hill and they seen that they were going to be wide open, walking across the street to the King Roadhouse, where they were potentially going to be videoed, and it was a lot of light in the front of the house, they stopped and went, let's reassess how we're going to ascend on this home. And if you look at the home like we're about to here in a minute, you'll see that the front is lit. The front is lit. It's lighted. The front has good lighting. The rear of the home, very poor lighting. So it's dark. Doesn't look like there would be many camera views that would capture you. So as you walk up and you ascertain, am I going to go straight across this road to this house that's lit up? Or should we double back, go around, and come in on the dark side? And I think any criminal would have looked at that and done just what I've suggested. They'd have turned around, they'd went back, went up to the south side of the house and came in that way. And that's when they probably noticed the law enforcement there, and they did it in a swift manner because they had an agenda. And it's quite frankly a miracle law enforcement even caught them on the film. But let's take a look at what I'm talking about here, and let's really look at it. Okay, so right here we've got a map of, you'll see the King Roadhouse down here, and what I believe is one of the assailants, as we've seen on video, walked in down Linda Lane, retrieved things from the dumpster right here, probably Brent Kopacka's K-bar knife, as well as the other weapons that were going to be used in the operation, and then continued their walk to the King Roadhouse this way. The other four assailants, I believe, had come in from this direction. They were probably dropped off on the street adjacent to Taylor Avenue. And I believe they walked down this way, came around, and as they walked up here, they noticed this entire area right here is well lighted. And it's open other than the vehicles that are parked. And there's probably going to be some cameras on this area right here. So after assessing the situation, they turned around, ran back down and around, and came in the high side of the house where it's dark. And what we see in the video of them running is them doubling back to make that trek. So this is one of the news channels, and they are recreating what happened in the Bandfield footage, and they're doing it about the same type of night that the atrocity would have happened on. So let's put ourselves in the mind frame of four assailants going in to commit an atrocity, and what they would have been thinking as they walked up this path. Of course, there wasn't any snow on the ground that night, but they have walked at, several blocks or possibly a mile and a half to get to this point. And you can see there is the target house right in front of them. And as they come up the hill and they reach this area right here, take a look at their vantage point. There's a lot of lights. There is, even when the vehicles were parked in front of it, going to be, it's going to be very well visible for four people to walk across the street to that house. And if there are any cameras around, there's nothing to hide from a camera. You're going to be caught on camera if there is a camera around. Again, think about it from their perspective. So when they get to this point right here, and they say, well, we can't just walk across and go straight to this house this way. Look around. You see to the right of the house, you see how dark it is back there? That looks like a much more advantageous point for you to sneak into that residence. And I think you would agree with that. So, looking at it from that vantage point, they turned around, came back down, and what we see here is them doubling back to go around the neighborhood and come in on the dark side of the home. Now, if these assailants were coming in on foot like I'm suggesting they were, well, folks, that video right there, if that's not enough to make a direction go in a different, make an investigation go in a different direction, I don't know what would have been. I mean, that's certainly more compelling than a few cars driving around during that time of night in a college neighborhood on a late Saturday night. You know, that's going to happen no matter what. That should have been investigated. So, there's so many different aspects of this case that we've gone over and we've looked at long ago. But when we start looking at things from a different perspective, once we've learned new things, we've got to take the new things that we've learned and start applying them to everything in the case based on the new information. You see, the vehicle, after they put Detective Payne on the stand a few weeks back, and he admitted that they did not have the 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra identified until after December 20th, when they got Bryan Kohberger's name, and then they extended the makes of the car from 11 to 16. That tells us right there that that vehicle had no bearing on the crime itself. It certainly had no bearing on Mr. Kohberger. But they do still have that DNA on the knife sheath. So we know that we've got to explain that. But the vehicle aspect of this thing shouldn't even need to be discussed anymore. And I'm going to do a video on that here shortly. And I'll tell you why I can do all these videos this weekend. You know, old Pavoratiis doesn't have a lot of luck, but that's okay. I'm having fun doing the videos and it allows me to catch up on some things. But the vehicle shouldn't even be in consideration. When you take the vehicle out of the equation, that leaves they walked in. And when you start looking at it that way, then you have to revisit that old evidence where it shows people walking in at a certain time. And it all starts to really line up once you start doing that. If you haven't seen my video I put out, I've called it Pavoratiis Moscow Unalivings. I don't know if it actually says that, but go check that out. I put it in the length. I put it in the link. It's long. No, I put the link in the description below. But folks, please give me your thoughts. Give me your comments, post your criticisms, post anything you'd like to post. Please like and subscribe to the channel. That's very important. If you like that other video, share it. I'd like to get it out there because I'd like to change some of the narrative that I see that's really going around right now. And that was my goal in that, is just to try to bring the narrative back to a balance if I can, or any way I can contribute to do that. But until the next video, Pavoratiis is out.